So Blissful Warrior, what does it mean to be a blissful warrior? Well, I wrote a whole book about it. This is my book called The Blissful Warrior, written about 3 years ago, based on my experiences of using these practices to really become a warrior about being blissful. That's how important it is for you to connect with your sense of joy. Maybe warrior is not quite the word we want, but you want to be aware, and you want to be deliberately aware of constantly allowing yourself to move towards feeling joyful in every moment. And as we do this movement, I'm going to again be suggesting some ways of aligning your body so that this movement you can get the most good feeling, the most soothing out of this movement that you do. That is a different instruction, by the way, and I'd like you to hear this. That is a different instruction than me telling you that I'm going to keep you from hurting yourself. You don't need me to keep you safe in your body. Your body's already doing that for you. I'm going to be suggesting some little alignments, little adjustments and nuances that actually help you feel the full pleasure of movement in your body. Okay, so come up onto all fours. Bring your wrists directly under your shoulders. That's always a little further back than you think. Uncurl your toes, tops of your feet on the ground. Your wrists will be about 6 inches apart, and your knees will also be about 6 inches apart, lined up directly behind your wrists. Your feet will be behind your knees, also lined up, and you're in this tabletop position. Now, if you lock your arms at the elbows and rotate inward so that the inner parts of your elbows are facing each other parallel, you're going to begin to feel your biceps activate, and less pressure in the wrists, more activation in the bicep muscles feels a little better. Try it. Look at the wall in front of you. Keep your face and your breastbone parallel to that wall in front of you, and again, locking your arms at the elbows. And as you inhale, bring your belly down, keep your face and your breastbone parallel, keep your arms locked, let your belly feel like it's going to touch the ground, and stretch your tailbone to the ceiling. So feel that little activation in your tailbone. You're getting to stretch a part of your body, a part of your anatomy that we don't really stretch in everyday life, but feels so good because it's normal and natural for your lower spine to really be flexible. And as you exhale, begin to drop your chin. Nestle your chin between your collarbones, locking your arms. Lift the middle part of your spine to the ceiling. Suck your stomach in. Locking your arms at the elbows and rotating in will feel like your shoulders are shrugging up by your ears, but it feels very satisfying. And as you inhale again, begin to lift your chin, face, neck, until your face and your breastbone are parallel to the wall in front of you. Lock your arms at the elbows, rotate in, drop your belly, and stretch your tailbone to the ceiling. And now almost feel like you'd like your tailbone to touch the back of your head, even while you're keeping your face and breastbone parallel. You feel that little curling and tension that you have at your tailbone. And as you exhale, lock your arms, drop your chin, wedge it between your collarbones as you raise your middle back to the ceiling. Imagine that your spine is a slinky, and you're lifting that slinky in the middle so you feel that really beautiful flexibility. And inhale. Bring your chin up, neck up, face and breastbone parallel to the wall in front of you. Drop your belly and stretch your tailbone to the ceiling and point it towards the back of your head. Really getting into the really exuberant feeling of that stretch of the tailbone. And then exhale, drop your chin. Feel like you'd like to see your own throat. Really nestle it in there. Round your middle back, suck your stomach in. Keep your elbows locked and rotated in. Feel all of that empowering strength in your biceps. And then inhale again. And coming back to a tabletop position with your elbows locked, rotated in, back flat, face and breastbone parallel, and breathe. Nice. And now, pushing back on your hands. Sit your hips on your heels. And we'll do a little bit of an extended child's pose. I like to call this pregnant with child's pose because you're going to make room for your belly. As you spread your knees apart, let your big toes touch behind you. Place your fingertips on the ground beside you, looking at the wall. Bend your elbow tips and begin to lead your breastbone down to the ground between your knees. When your breastbone touches, let the spot between your eyebrows touch as well. Sink your middle back, letting your breastbone feel like it's coming to the ground. Bring your arms to your sides, bend your elbow tips, palms facing up. Allow your shoulders to slump and breathe here. Inhale. Exhale. And now inhale, place the fingertips, try not to use the palms, fingertips beside your knees. Pull your elbow tips towards your hips and see how much lightness it takes to pull your whole body back up to sitting. Did you feel that lightness? How little pressure it took to bring your body up from the floor and back to sitting? If you didn't, don't worry about it, all right? I'm just suggesting things that might feel good for your mechanics, for your physical body. If it doesn't feel good to you, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Respect what feels good to you. And if it doesn't feel good today, it still might feel good tomorrow or 5 minutes from now. But in this present moment, it is what it is. You are where you are. That thought alone can give you a tremendous healing. You stop beating yourself up or berating yourself over things that aren't happening in the present moment. And then you can actually start enjoying what is available for you in the present moment. Bring your knees together. Sit your hips on your heels. Now, I know this isn't always comfortable for everyone to sit your hips on your heels. If that's your situation, place your fingertips on the ground. Let your hips hover a little over your heels by pressing into your fingertips and employing your bicep muscles. Right? These beautiful biceps, they are actually so good at holding body weight. Sometimes your hips are just a little bit not into it today. So you just hold yourself up with your biceps. You can even swing your hips a little bit. Right? You are here to experience the pleasure of having a body. Keep telling yourself that. You're not here to fix anything. Your body's already doing that for you. 24 hours a day. You're here to experience the joy of it. All right. Now, let's separate the heels and see if your hips will settle down on the floor between your heels. If they do, they do. Okay? That's a fact. If they do, they do. And if they don't, then they don't. So if your hips are not on the ground, you're going to remain holding yourself up with the fingertips, letting the biceps keep you aloft a little bit and swing your hips. It's really, really satisfying to me, and try this and see if this is true for you, to make this figure eight with your hips while you're swinging them. It's not just side to side, it's like a little undulating hula dance here. It just feels great in the hips, in the knees, even in the ankles. If your hips come down at some point, and I promise you that if you are enjoying this little swinging of the hips, not even thinking about getting your hips on the ground, eventually your hips will come down without that push, without that effort. But in that sense of joy and freedom, the body relaxes. So, if your hips are down today, I'm going to move myself a little bit so you can see this pose. You know, you might not even be watching the screen. You might just be listening to these instructions. That's fine too. But you've got your palms now on your heels. Your fingers are facing towards your heels and your wrists towards your toes. Begin to lift your breastbone to the ceiling and squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you and ease yourself into your elbow tips. Now, you'll only do this if your hips are on the ground. Please don't try this. If your hips are not on the ground between your heels, you do the swing. Okay? So using your elbow tips to come down, letting your head hang as you lift your chest. Now maybe this is where you're going today. That's fine. If you're ready for more, you can allow your chin to tuck as you place the back of your head on the mat. And if you'd like to go further, bring your arms over your head, grab your opposite elbow tips, and breathe. Now sometimes when you move your body, you feel awakenings. Like right now, I feel a very strong stretch across the tops of my thighs. But it doesn't feel like pain. It actually just feels like a sensation. I'd like you to know, again, here comes the science geek, I'd like you to know that both pain and pleasure are translated by your mind. They are not translated by your body. Your body is feeling a sensation right now. And the pain or pleasure or soothing of it, however you decide that feeling is something that your mind is telling you. Now, does this mean that if you feel pain, you should ignore it and just say it's all in your mind? Absolutely not. If you're feeling pain, then this is not helping you. This is actually something that's making you feel bad, and you just back it down to a place where you feel maybe a stretch that begins to feel pleasurable to you. And breathe right here. Inhale. If you're all the way down, you can balloon your belly out on the inhale. And as you exhale, see if you can feel that feeling of pulling your elbow tips to the ground behind you. Tuck your chin towards your throat and drop your lower back. As if someone has slipped their hand under the small of your back and they're asking you to just drop into it. Wow, when I do that, I can feel my calf muscles letting go. Inhale. Tuck your chin. As you tuck your chin, you're actually feeling something really beautiful happen in your cervical spine. More freedom. And as you exhale, again, deflate the balloon of your belly and allow yourself the permission to drop down your lower back towards the ground or towards that hand that's waiting to hold you. And now, if you've been all the way down in this pose, here's how you come out. Use your elbow tips beside you. Lift from your chest. So lifting from your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Replace your hands on the soles of your feet. Your head is hanging behind you. It's the last thing to come up on top of your spine. So take a deep breath. As you inhale, we're going to be inhaling and exhaling through your nose, keeping your mouth closed, and you're pretending that the breath is coming in through this hole in the back of your throat, so when it comes in and out, it makes this really loud Darth Vader kind of sound. This is called Ujjayi breathing or warrior breathing, and it really makes you feel empowered, and it begins to connect you to how powerful you really are, your physiology and otherwise. So inhale, and it will sound like this. And exhale.